Being a completionist in games can be a time-consuming and yet rewarding experience. Depending on the game's requirements, you may end up going through quite an ordeal in order to completely max out everything a game has to offer. But that feeling of satisfaction when you have conquered everything the game and the developers have thrown at you is just something that is just very enjoyable and that I myself love doing for a good portion of the games I play. However, what if something stopped you from 100%ing a game? An unexpected hiccup that cuts your journey to fully completing a game short. In this video, we're going to be talking about exactly that, games that come up just short of being fully completable. And to strike fear even further into the hearts of completionists, we're going to be talking about games that came out in the days before online patches and updates, meaning that these games are permanently unable to be finished for full completion. Space Station Silicon Valley is a 3D platform that was released for the Nintendo 64 on October 22nd, 1998, and later ported to the Game Boy Color and PlayStation. It was developed by DMA Design, the studio that would later go on to become Rockstar North, or now known as Rockstar Games UK Limited. In the game, players assume the role of Evo, a robot that has been reduced to a microchip after the ship he's in crashes. Without protection and his energy draining constantly, Evo must jump into the bodies of various robotic animals and use their abilities to solve puzzles and defeat enemies to survive and get off the space station he has crash landed on. Throughout the game, you would complete various objectives and solve puzzles while collecting the scattered pieces of Evo's protective shell suit so you can reconstruct it. Along with a list of collectibles you can find are souvenirs. These souvenirs are hidden in levels or are acquired by completing hidden objectives within the levels. Upon completing all of the hidden objectives and finding all the souvenirs, you would supposedly be rewarded with access to a bonus level for all of your work. Unfortunately, there's a small caveat here with that. In the Nintendo 64 version of the game, there's one souvenir located in the level Fat Bear Mountain that you just cannot collect. You can access it, you can walk into it, you just cannot ever collect it. No matter which animal you choose, no matter how you come at it, try as you might, it is just impossible to ever collect this one single souvenir, thus making the 100% completion of the game impossible. And not only that, but also making the game's bonus level completely inaccessible too. Well, unless you use a cheat code. Metabots Infinity is a 3D action RPG that was developed and published by Natsume and released only for the GameCube on December 14th, 2003. The game is based on the Metabots anime series that aired on Fox Kids, and the game is considered a sequel to the anime. You know, I remember watching the Metabots anime, and I remember liking it, but it's been a really long time since I've actually sat down and watched any of it. Anyway, the game wasn't well received, having a number of complaints. One of the complaints being how buggy the game was. One such notable bug involves the character Koji in the US version. During the post-game segments, you must complete 6 bonus stages. These bonus stages can only be accessed by acquiring special passes, 1 pass per stage. To get these passes, you need to complete challenges assigned to you by specific characters. For Koji's, you must beat his high score in all of the stages. The thing is, when you do beat all of his scores, he refuses to actually give you the pass. No matter how many times you talk to him afterwards, he just never gives up the pass, making one of the bonus stages inaccessible. Oh, hold on there, that's not the only problem in the game. It is due to a developer's oversight, one of the Metabots parts that you normally would be able to win by beating them in the game is also unobtainable in the game's story mode, leaving that particular one incomplete. Even the PAL territory couldn't escape this game's issues. You see, Metabots Infinity features the GBA link cable functionality. If you link your Game Boy Advance to your GameCube with either Metabots Gold or Metabots Silver games in it, you can unlock additional parts per game for use in Metabots Infinity. That is, unless you live in the PAL region, as in that region's version, the link cable functionality doesn't actually work, despite the fact that the manual advertises it. Man, what a mess of a game. Tokyo Extreme Racer 3 is a racing game for the PlayStation 2 that was developed by Genki and released on November 18, 2003 in North America and on July 24, 2003 in Japan. In it, you race to become the fastest racer on the highways of Japan. In your quest to become the fastest racer in Japan, you will face off against various rivals, over 600 rivals to be exact, opponents known as wanderers and bosses throughout the game's locations. As you take to the streets and outdrive your opponents, you earn money. You can use this money to purchase parts for your car or buy new cars. You also need to have a certain amount of money in order to race a certain character in the game. The problem with this game comes from the fact that since the company that made the game is a Japanese company and the game itself takes place in Japan, the in-game currency is measured in the Japanese yen value. When this game got localized for the West, the developers were rushed and didn't have time to properly convert the game's currency over to the US dollar, thus completely screwing up the money amount requirements in the game. One of the wanderers you need to beat in order to 100% the game is a racer called Whirlwind Fanfare. In the Japanese version, you need a total of $100 million of in-game currency to race them, but due to the conversion error in the US version of the game, it's only possible to acquire a total of $99,999,990, thus kneecapping you just shy of having enough money to race them. Outside of using a game shark, there's no legit way to ever get enough money in the game to race this person, which not only means you cannot race this specific person, but that also means that since you cannot race and beat this character, you also cannot race the final boss of the game either, since you need to beat all other rivals and wanderers in order for the final boss to even appear. Nothing like going the extra mile only to run out of gas at the end. Gran Turismo 2 is the second installment of the popular racing simulator series. It was released on December 16, 1999 for the original PlayStation. While GT2 was a critical and commercial success when it launched, selling millions of units in North America, Europe, and Japan, the game wasn't without its fair few glitches and bugs. Some glitches included certain cars appearing in races that they shouldn't be in, and players could even have their cars disappear from their garage. The most infamous glitch in Gran Turismo 2 was a bug that only allowed up to 98.20% completion of the game to be achieved. For the longest time, it was suspected that the cause of this glitch was due to the removal of a drag race mode. However, it turns out that's not necessarily the case, and the true reason is going to require quite a bit of an explanation, so put on your seatbelt and crash helmet for this one. So basically, the game handles percentage completion by a specific code overlay related to a certain mode in the game, the GT mode. This code overlay contains within it a total of 248 event IDs that are identical to the ones found in the GT mode _race dat file. Out of those 248 events, 25 of them are set to placeholders that were meant to trigger license and machine test modes inside of the GT mode's menus. Due to what these triggered within the code, and due to the fact that these are considered placeholders, they are never marked as complete in the player's percentage completion data. So the game then subtracts the number of events that are meant to be ignored from the total number of array entries located in the code overlay, thus getting a new value that the game compares to the player's total number of completed events. The problem comes from the fact that the event data contains within it 4 entries that cannot be accessed, but they are also not ignored in the percentage calculation method, and these entries are 2 Vauxhall Tiger races and 2 Paraguay 206 contests. The Vauxhall Tiger races were meant exclusively for the European version of the game due to the fact that Vauxhall Motors is a British car manufacturer, and those 2 Paraguay 206 contests were edited out of the game at some point in development. Therefore, due to this, the game expects the player to have completed a total of 223 events for 100% completion, when in reality there are only 219 events actually available in the game itself, leading to the game's infamous 98.20% completion. This issue plagued early releases of the game, so Polyphony Digital had to release a new updated versions of the game. They corrected this issue by simply upping the number of ignored entries from 25 up to 29. This solution was good enough to fix the game. Well, the Japanese and North American versions at least. The European version, however, ran into its own issue with this fix. In the European version, the player can't access both Opel and Vauxhall manufacturers at the same time, but you can just reset your console and change the in-game language, giving players the opportunity to be able to access both manufacturers, meaning that while you can complete one of the Tiger races and reach 100% completion, You could also complete races tied to the other manufacturer as well and earn yourself 100.91% completion, as now the game says that you completed 221 events out of a total of 219. See how tricky programming can be? Whiplash is a 3D action platform game developed by Crystal Dynamics and released for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox on November 18, 2003 in the US and on March 5, 2004 in the EU. In the game, you control a weasel named Spanx, who has a rabbit named Redman handcuffed to him. These two unlikely heroes must work together to escape the product testing facility known as Genron. During your escapades through Genron, you'll be smashing up and destroying things in the facility while also acquiring some collectibles. Now, this game is known to be a little buggy. One such bug being that some of these collectibles are apparently glitched, meaning you can't get them all, and also meaning you get cut short of 100% completion. Some players have said they've gotten up to 95 to 96% completion of the game, but nobody's seemingly been able to attain the coveted 100%. Rollaway, or also known as Cool World in the UK, or also known as Cool Quest in Japan, is a 3D platform puzzle game that was developed by Game Design Sweden AB and released for the PlayStation on November 27, 1998, July 10, 1998, and May 27, 1999 in their respective countries. The game revolves around the player taking control of a beach ball and must navigate around the levels while avoiding obstacles and collecting various objects such as jewels, coins, fruits, and keys that are used to unlock the exit to the levels. In your journeys through the levels, you can find entrances to hidden levels throughout the game. Unfortunately, this is what ends up putting this game on this list. The trouble lies with a particular hidden level, specifically the hidden level located on level 132. Now, the European version of the game got it the worst. The hidden level in that version straight up doesn't exist. They forgot to even put it in the game in the first place. Now, the North American version is slightly better. The hidden level in that version actually does exist. However, notice I said slightly, as while the level does exist in the game, it cannot actually be accessed. The block that the hidden level sits on can't be reached once you have activated the level to be entered. So it's there, you can see, you just can't reach it. The only version of this game that's been able to get it right is the Japanese version. In that version, the hidden level is moved to a different level entirely. Where it does exist, you can see it, and you can actually enter it. So to all you completionists out there, if you're thinking about going for it with this game, better make sure you get the Japanese version. Rayman Raving Rabbids is a minigame compilation party game that was developed by Ubisoft. It was released for the PlayStation 2, the Wii, PC in 2006, and the Xbox 360 in 2007, and it also marks the debut of the Rabbids characters. The game consists of a variety of minigames that the player must complete. Problem version of this game lies with the Xbox 360 version. The 360 version has a series of achievements you get for doing certain tasks, such as unlocking various items and reaching certain scores. The issue here comes with a certain achievement. The greatest Rayman ever achievement requires you to achieve a total of 183,000 points in score mode. The problem is, even if you were to achieve a perfect maximum score in every single minigame, you would only have 173,000 points, making this achievement impossible to get legitimately. And to add even further insult to injury, this leads to yet another problem. The achievement, Rayman Loves Challenge, is also unobtainable due to this as well. It requires you to unlock all challenges in score mode, but due to the score bug mentioned previously, you can only get 173,000 points, and the final challenge unlocks at 174,000 points. And seeing as this issue has been plaguing the game since 2007, I'd say it's a safe bet that this will never be fixed. Well, those were some games that, no matter what, you will never be able to 100% complete. Have you played any of these games and had the misfortune of running into these glitches? Was there a game that you played where you were cut short of 100% completion? Please leave a comment and tell me, and feel free to leave a like on the video too. I'm SlimActor35 and I'm out. Peace.